Ohio State. Talk to our guys at Letterman Row, Spencer Holbrook. If you haven't followed him yet on Twitter, I encourage you to do so. If you haven't checked out his work on Letterman Row, I also encourage you to do so. Guy is an enormous help to me every single time I ask for some insight as to what's going on down there in Columbus, but gave me some bullet points as to what's going on at fall camp. Because if you remember correctly, Ohio State a season ago, we'll call it what it was, they had a failure of a season. Now, to make sure we specify, the standard at Ohio State is very different than it is at other places. You win a Rose Bowl and you win double-digit football games. Anywhere else in the country, they're saying, yes, that's what we need to see. Now we're one of the elite programs. Like, a lot of teams would ship half their team off of the practice field. They would give away half their team to have that kind of season. Not so at Ohio State. They're saying that was a failure for us. We are not okay with that. The standard is beat Michigan, win the Big Ten, win a Natty. We went 0 for 3 last year, so we're not cool with that. So fall camp, the buzz has been locked in. We'll get to more of that in a second, but one of the biggest bullet points he gave me, one of the pieces that he was most emphatic about when we talked on the phone was, hey, listen, man, CJ Stroud, yeah, I know he was good last year, put up really good numbers last year. He's taking the next step. Talked about how CJ Stroud is saying he's faster than he's ever been. Took the weight room really seriously in the offseason. He's bulked up to 220 pounds. He said he just looks like an NFL quarterback. So for his second year starting, that's huge. And that was sort of my knock. Knock sounds like the wrong word to use, but that was sort of my question mark about CJ Stroud heading into this year was there were times last year where he looked like a first-year starter. Didn't reflect it in the stat sheet, but there were games where I was like, I don't know that he's necessarily bought into his own hype yet, and maybe you need to do that a little bit. And I think for CJ Stroud to take that next step as a leader, as a quarterback, going from, we say it all the time, going from being the quarterback to being the guy is very different in the way that you lead your football team. And by all accounts, Spencer told me he's locked in, he looks better than he ever has physically, and he is sharp. Like, he is commanding this team. He is one of the leaders of this football team. Scary news for everybody else in the Big Ten. Also, the question mark for, I think, the multitude of national outlets was, what's this defense going to look like? Because they feel like in Columbus, hey, we had a national championship offense that we wasted because we couldn't get it done on defense. Got a lot of guys coming back. Even though you lost 2 first-round draft picks to wide receiver, got a lot of guys coming back to where we can't waste this offense. So defensively, what is this going to look like? You go out and get the mad scientist of college football defenses in Jim Knowles from Oklahoma State. It's a Cornell guy worth mentioning. They're really excited about what he's going to bring to the table. And so far in fall camp, that excitement has been felt from this defense. And this is not to knock the previous regime. However, there wasn't that same sentiment when it came to practice on defense last year. It was, hey, we just got to put our head down and go to work. We got to get this done. We got to do what we got to do. And that attitude in itself is a good thing. Like, to be task-oriented is good, but there's a buzz and an excitement about playing in this defense. Guys are chomping at the bit. You say, why is that? Well, one, it's multiple. They're going to give a lot of these guys a chance to do a lot of different things, and they're going to be aggressive. We talk about it all the time. Being the hammer and not the nail. That's what Ohio State's going to do on defense. That's what they're excited about. They're going to actually go on offense with what they do defensively. Dialing up pressures, giving guys a chance to play more man coverage. It's going to be an exciting defense to watch, if nothing else, at Ohio State. And we did a video on it already, but Ryan Day said, we expect a top 10 defense at Ohio State. Jim Knowles was asked about that. He said, I don't know why he didn't say top 5. They asked some of the players about it. They said, we just want to be the best defense in the country, period. So the standard is set very high at Ohio State. And the cupboard is stocked with elite personnel to get it done. I mean, littered with 4 and 5 stars. So they have every reason as to why they can be successful, but the defense is what a lot of juice is around in the fall camp. And Larry Johnson, the defensive line coach, who's put guys in the NFL like it's his job, I guess kind of is his job, but he basically said, we got 12 dudes on this defensive line that can play. We are 12 deep. That is scary. When you can rotate defensive linemen like that and not have a drop-off in level of play. Folks, this game is won in the trenches. And last year, it was very evident against Michigan, Ohio State wasn't necessarily up to par at times. And so for them to take a big step forward there, to have more depth, to have an improvement there, and to have more pride in that, that's a big deal. So a lot of excitement there. Spencer also told me, hey, there were times during fall camp too where we saw this defense winning reps. And you say, okay, well, that's fall camp. You're still sort of getting your legs under you. The offense is still sort of figuring out how they're going to operate. You're knocking the rust off from spring ball to fall camp and all that. But that means a lot more coming out of Columbus because you know how good this Ohio State offense is. So for this Ohio State defense to be making it a battle and to push this offense to win some reps defensively, that should tell you, okay, we're starting to get some momentum here. And that's the way this staff talks about it. They're extremely confident, similar to the 2019 season where they were talking about how good Chase Young was going to be and how this defense was going to look. It's kind of the same attitude, saying, just wait and see. You get them all these questions. There's all these opinions about us nationwide, but you'll see when they put the ball down and play. When we tee it up against Notre Dame, you're going to see. And that's kind of the edge that is floating around practice right now. There's a lot of guys that are excited about. Josh Proctor, one of the safeties, a guy who was hurt last year in the Oregon game. They think he can be someone who contributes in a big way this coming year. He's a guy that they're really excited about, is a name to watch. They are going to ask a lot of the safeties this coming year. And so Josh Proctor, they think, is a guy that can finally put it together in terms of being healthy and being productive. So a guy to know there. Also Mike Hall in the defensive line, a guy they're excited about. But all that's to say they have these guys that are ready to prove it on the field. And that's the edge. We talked about it at the beginning of this segment. The edge that Ohio State feels heading into this year is not the same as a program. It doesn't reflect a program that just won the Rose Bowl. Like I said, they feel like they failed a season ago. They have a bad taste in their mouth and they're ready to get it out. That's a scary thing for everybody else in the college football world. To be as talented as you are at Ohio State and to still feel like you have something to prove, that was their mission this offseason. They were locked in. Hey, we failed last year. Similar to how they failed Alabama. We failed last year. And Ohio State made it an effort in the offseason, in the weight room, in practice, in their tempo, in their sense of urgency. We have unfinished business. We got to go out and complete the mission. So Ohio State, a team that I have in my college football playoff. I would imagine you probably have in your college football playoff unless you're living in Ann Arbor, Michigan. But all that's to say, very excited about them. And it sounds like a lot of good things coming out of fall camp. A lot of guys they're excited about. And everything trending in the right direction. The defense looks solid. Ohio State's going to be fun to watch this year. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.